Hey, what is going on, everybody, and welcome to what I'm going to call an end of an era for a few things that we've come to realize, but we are rounding the corner towards the end of patch 5.7 and entering into patch 5.8 next week, leaving behind Weapon X and what to me feels like slightly a bit of a dud patch, and entering what I hope to be is a better one, with the Eternals, Dark Dimension 5, Do More Chapter 4, all of that coming at us soon. However, there is no end of a patch without talking about some of the best characters that the game has to offer right now, which is why I'm going to be presenting them to you today, and hopefully this helps you think about the top characters that you should be investing in as of the end of patch 5.7. I also want to thank Captain King once again for helping me out in creating and editing this list for me, so it can be brought to you as well. Some of you may know him for a lot of his team infographics that he's produced, so it feels great to partner with him on this. So sit back, relax, and let's get this show started. Okay, so we're going to start things off by looking at the patch 5.6 tier list. So some of you may remember this graphic from last month, which I typically do at the end of each patch cycle. The new one has been trimmed quite considerably compared to this, with a fair bit of removals and a couple of additions from this patch. So we're going to jump on over to the new one, patch 5.7, and this list here. I also want to start off by saying that this list is not necessarily meant for brand new players, but what I hope to do is, guide people towards some of the best characters available to you in the game right now for endgame content. This specifically refers to stuff like, higher Doom Raid 1 or 2, and upper Dark Dimension content, typically 4+, where a lot of these characters are still valid. But I would point you towards some of my Dark Dimension specific videos, where there may be characters that are not actually on this list, such as Ghost. I also want to remind newer players that there is a fair bit of a time gap between, say, level 75 and level 85, so what might be good at the top just now might not necessarily continue to be that way in, say, 4 months' time when you get there. But the characters on the left-hand side of the list are very likely to remain very good for some time to come, but the ones on the right are those that you might want to pay special attention to, who maybe have more varied use or are potentially in danger of being removed from their top spots, and we're going to talk about exactly why. So we're going to start off with who was removed from patch 5.6 to patch 5.7. So X Factor, they were removed from the list altogether. They were largely there to remind people that you need to get them, to an appropriate tier level for Adam Warlock's unlock event as a mythic legendary, which requires them to be upwards to gear tier 14 and green ISO 5 if you want to get a 7-star Adam Warlock. Of course, alongside Jubilee, who still maintains her position on the list as the important member of Astonishing X-Men. For this same reason, Nick Fury or Winter Soldier do not make the list at all, for the same reason why X Factor is not there. I'll just assume that most people know how to unlock these mythic legendaries at this point, and I don't need to include them on the list. On the side of X Factor, other than needing to gear them up for the events, I just don't think they're really that great in the endgame anymore at this point. A lot of people use like Longshot and Shatterstar to some degree in like Cosmic Dark Dimension, but I don't think you need to do that now. Baron Zemo was also removed from this list. One of the reasons why I had him on there was because of his crazy value for new players, especially when it came to campaigns. He's still a great character, but he just doesn't really have that endgame value anymore, which a lot of the ones on this list still have. So, for newer players, you do want someone like Zemo to use, but he's not necessarily someone you're going to be taking to gear tier 14+ anymore. Colleen Wing was also removed from this list. She was mainly there as part of the main damage dealer for Heroes for Hire, alongside ShangChi, but had significantly less value overall in other game modes, so she's been kicked off the list. Ebony Maw, a bit of a contentious one for some, but he has been officially removed from my list, and it's a bit sad, but also another end of an era for him. A lot of his job was to make Thanos empowered, which you can no longer do in things like Doom Raid, and even in higher Dark Dimension 4+, this isn't possible because of the legendary lane. As a standalone character, he lost value when new warriors were added in, and with the upcoming Eternals patch, this will be even more the case. You might have also noticed that I removed Gamora and Phyla-Vell, so the other three still are here, and we'll talk about that. Some people might also find this a bit contentious, but really we're officially falling off the kind of Infinity Watch Arena meta era with the Eternals coming around the corner. So if any of you saw the blog post in Strike Time with the Eternals duo, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. They're going to be the next big thing, which means I can't in good conscience recommend gearing these characters anymore for things like Arena. If you haven't already done so with Infinity Watch, I think you're a bit late to that, and I don't think it's worth doing now. Even for things like Cosmic Dark Dimension, where this new duo is going to, like, clean sweep as well. Sadly, they get the kick despite me having, like, a 200,000 7-red Gamora. You know, it's just is the end of her perhaps short-lived as Queen of Arena. And Phyla-Vell just isn't that great in the existing endgame content, and Doomraid being the sole bio character of the team, so she gets the boot as well. So I think this wraps up the removals part, which is, you know, was a bit of a lengthier list previously. So let's talk about the existing characters on the list, why they're here. Some are a bit obvious, maybe some a bit less so. Okay, so I tried to group up these characters thematically just so it makes it easier for them to be showcased here. As you can see, we have Secret Avengers on the top line here with Doom and Kestrel. We have Astonishing X-Men, and we have the New Warriors as solid investments. And why they're in this category is because, well, a lot of them, with the exception of Astonishing X-Men, are some of the newest characters to come to the game, Secret Avengers and New Warriors particularly. They're so new that I think that they are very safe to invest in. They're very, very solid Doomraid 1 and 2 characters, and actually, in fact, some of these could make, make the cut for Dark Dimension 5, namely the Secret Avengers and Cloak and Dagger. Deathpool possibly as well, you know, with the new Eternals around the corner, depending on what kind of cosmic makeup you want to do. I'm not going to be talking into great detail about Dark Dimension 5, because it's just coming out, and honestly, for the average player, it's likely going to be like 4, 5, 6 months before an average player actually clears it or even, you know, gets started in there. So, not going to be talking about too much of that. But in terms of these characters, so Secret Avengers obviously have a lot of, you know, use here in Doomraid 2, Doomraid 1, the various difficulties, and Dark Dimension 3 and 4 Global. So they are more recently farmable, Cap Sam, Sharon Carter, and Maria Hill. So if you haven't started on these characters, I definitely recommend it. Even for newer players, Sharon Carter and Maria Hill are very accessible in terms of picking up. Cap Sam a little bit less so because he's on Doomraid 2.6, which does mean you need to be level 75 first before you can start farming him. And of course, 3-starring those particular Doom War nodes. So, you know, Cap Sam won't be as easy to get as the others, but hopefully you were around for the Strike Pass that had him available in that, so you could have at least get him unlocked. These are 3 very important characters that I recommend building. It's going to be great to any roster, really, you know, whether you're an early player, mid-game player, or a veteran, they are must-haves. Now, Dr. Doom obviously makes the cut here because he is tech, he is mystic, and particularly on the tech side of things, very, very important, alongside Kestrel, who is also tech. These two are some of the most important characters right now to the Doomraid tech lane, because I don't think they are replaceable at this point in time. Arguably, you could replace Kestrel in skill, and you could replace Doom in mystic, but in the tech lane, they're just irreplaceable, I think, at this point. Very solid characters. Doom is obviously the reward from Dark Dimension 4, so I think he's going to be sticking around for a little while longer. Kestrel, she's still sticking around. Whether or not I end up taking her to Dark Dimension 5 Cosmic, we'll see. But she is still a very, very solid character. I expect her to be valid at least until her 1-year anniversary. We do need to talk about Astonishing X-Men. So they are getting, they're getting older, but they're not old as, say, Symbiotes, which we'll talk about in a little while. So Astonishing X-Men, I think, other than Beast, who was actually released last July and has had his 1-year anniversary already, the others haven't quite had that 1 year yet. So that would be rolling around probably like January, February time for them. I think that realistically, they're the only option for things like Doomraid 1 and Doomraid 2 Mutant. You can make some exceptions for in Doomraid 1 anyways, but it's not going to be valid in Doomraid 2. So you're better off just kind of investing in these 5. I think that's going to be the case going forward. They are Doomraid 2 viable, of course, and it is, in my opinion, a little bit more difficult than it was in Doomraid 1, but I just don't see any of the characters being switched out. Some people were trying to make arguments about Iceman and Kitty Pryde being subtracted from this team to add in other characters, other mutant characters, but I don't really think it worked all that well. And honestly, as a team, you just kind of want to build them as a team. In terms of wider uses outside of raids, they are a raid team. They're not really used in Arena, they're not really used in Alliance War, but they're solid investments in the fact that, you know, you can't really go without them. You kind of have to use them to a large degree. Let's talk about New Warriors, though. So that was last patch, and wow, I originally had Cloak and Dagger on the right-hand side. The reason why I had that was just mainly, it wasn't because they were bad characters, it was because of their accessibility to unlock, you know, that they were a mixed unlock method through Strike Pass and Blitz. Was not really a big fan of this system, however, at the end of the day, very, very, very strong characters. And actually, almost so beyond raids, and I think that they're going to be very, very important with the Eternals duo coming out, also being Hero Mystic. So you're going to have like a huge team here of Hero Mystic characters. You're going to have the New Warriors plus the 2 Eternals. I think they're going to be very valid in things like Dark Dimension 5, or even the existing Dark Dimensions if you haven't got there yet, with characters like Deathpool, who is also cosmic alongside the new Eternals. And these characters have great synergy with the Eternals being Hero Mystic. So there's going to be a lot of fun using these 3 characters with the Eternals next patch. And you know, they're gonna be here, right here along this line here with these 3 here. Very, very solid characters. Hopefully you picked up Deathpool from the campaign event, so that should have been an easy 4-star for most people. Cloak and Dagger, I do want to say that they are valid even at the 3 yellow, 3 red level. Hopefully you guys got them unlocked. It's a bit of a pain that both of them were 3-star unlocks, but if you did get them unlocked, I do recommend gearing them. Even at the 3 yellow, 3 red, they're still worth it, and they can take you through things like Dark Dimension 3 City, even, you know, because we were talking about Symbiotes and how difficult it is to get Symbiotes unlocked, especially Symbiote, SpiderMan, and Anti-Venom. So Cloak and Dagger are very good alternatives for things like Dark Dimension 3 and 4 City, but they are also obviously valid in their use in Doom Raid Mystic and as wider raid characters, and they're actually really amazing in Alliance War as well. So they actually tick off more boxes than, say, Astonishing X-Men. Cloak and Dagger, amazing characters, great kits, a lot of fun. Same with Deathpool. Nothing bad I can say about really anything on this side of the list. So what is going to be changing, though? We're going to spend a little bit more time on some of these characters, which I call proceed with caution. And what I mean by that is I can't guarantee that in 3 or 4 months' time, they're still going to be on this list. They're still going to be good because they kind of fill some really sketchy spots right now that are not, you know, they're at risk of being bumped off. So we're going to talk first about Silver Surfer. Silver Surfer, this one's a bit ironic because we're actually just ending very soon the Silver Surfer raid milestones. And actually, I think if you haven't built Silver Surfer by now, it is a bit dangerous to consider doing so, in my opinion, because at least on the Dark Dimension Cosmic front, not sure I would take him. Raid front, not sure I'd take him, especially with the Eternals rounding the bend here. I think that really you're going to be using those 2 Eternals rather alongside the New Warriors, assuming that you have all these characters unlocked, rather than characters like Silver Surfer and Adam Warlock, and we're going to get to that. So a lot of what I'm going to say about Adam Warlock is going to be similar to Silver Surfer. I'm just not sure that for players who don't already have them invested in, I don't know if you need to now, because I don't know if he fills the same spots as he once did, which is sad because I think he was released in like May, so he did not last as long as I thought he would. He is still a really solid standalone character, but I feel like he's going to be moving around in terms of where you're going to use him, and he's not solidly a top tier character for where you want to use him, which is things like Doom Raid, where a lot of us have been using him, and so he's slowly going to get kicked off. For ShangChi, now he's kind of filling in that sort of 5th position for the skill team. You know, most people use for Doom Raid the Secret Avengers and Kestrel, sometimes Moondragon, sometimes ShangChi. So ShangChi actually has crazy damage if you happen to have good star levels on him. His ultimate hits really hard. It rewinds a little bit of turn bar. He cleanses a little bit on his special, and he heals a little bit on his special outside of the Heroes for Hire team. Pretty cool character. So he makes this list mainly for that. He's not the best. He's not the worst. I think he's worth including because he is still pretty solid. If you happen to have high star levels on him, I actually recommend putting a little bit of gear in him, but not in front of characters like Secret Avengers or Kestrel, who are also skill. So there's a lot of skill gear add up here, especially when you talk about Doom Raid, because all of them have the same origin. So Doc Ock, again, he's on this list. He's been on this list for a while on the right-hand side, and that's mainly because he is still really important to Doom Raid tech. And he is important to things like Dark Dimension City, Dark Dimension 3 City, Dark Dimension 4 Legendary lanes, and probably will make the cut for me for Dark Dimension 5 Legendary. But where he's falling off is that he's just kind of in the middle. He's not, top tier necessarily, but he's good. He is worth investing in, and I have a feeling, I have a funny suspicion, he might actually move to the left-hand side later on at the end of the year, possibly when we get the characters, presumably we're getting characters related to No Way Home, which will be in about December time. So if we get some more Sinister Six characters, which either buff his usage or makes Doc Ock better in some way, he might end up on the left-hand side again, but for now, we're playing it safe. He's still worth investing in, but he's here on the right. Lady Deathstrike and Omega Red. So this is just because of this patch. I don't have a lot of experience in using them. I really want Omega Red to be decent. I have more things to say about Omega Red in a video coming up. But yeah, I don't think that it makes the cut for Doom Raid. I don't think you can remove Iceman or Kitty Pryde, for Omega Red. I've been told that just doesn't work. Lady Deathstrike, on the other hand, is usable in the tech lane for Doom Raid. I heard that she's kind of like that 4th, 5th position. You typically want to go for characters like Doc Ock, Kestrel, Doom, and then Lady Deathstrike kind of fills in that position to apply defense down to help Kestrel get more pings. So but she's a war character, which is why she's never going to make the left-hand side, and why I think Omega Red is not going to make the left-hand side. But who knows? Maybe this might change in the future. The two of them, I just want to point them out. I just don't have a lot of experience using them, but I heard that some people have had mixed success. I know Omega Red's not out yet, but he is going to make this as kind of an honorary member of the list because I want him to be good, and he is a legendary, and Doc Ock, who was also a Ward legendary, turned out to be pretty decent after all. Now, in terms of the symbiotes, now they're gonna be they were here before. I actually had Venom and Carnage removed. It turns out we didn't get any characters related to the Venom and Carnage patch, which is why they're back on this list together. All of them are here together, and the reason why that is because yes, they are necessary for Doom Raid Bio, Doom Raid 1 and 2 Bio, and actually they're performing better in Doom Raid 2 Bio than I expected, and better than a lot of people expected, because everyone was saying how hard Doom Raid 1.1 was with Bio, but turns out they're actually pretty decent, or the arrangement of enemies in Doom Raid 2 is not as difficult, I suppose, in the way that it was for 1.1 with the damage bump. So the symbiotes do make this list, but Symbiote Spider-Man come February is going to be a 2-year-old character. So for newer players, I would caution you building them too heavily, because when it comes to, say, level 75 versus level 85, are these characters still going to be valid in 4 months' time? I don't know. Is there going to be a new Bio Raid team? That's possible. Is there going to be a new... Maybe they might get relegated to just Dark Dimension City, because none of them are legendary, so you could use them all together for Dark Dimension City, and that's entirely possible. You could use characters alongside Cloak and Dagger. You could just use the main 3 newer characters, so Symbiote Spider-Man, Anti-Venom, and Scream. I do think that Venom and Carnage's kit are kind of getting a bit rusty, so I don't know if that means we're going to get new symbiotes to replace them, if there's just going to be a brand new team altogether. They are obviously the only ones that can do what they do right now, but how much longer will that last? I'm not sure, and for that reason, I can't, in good conscience, recommend them for too much longer. But if you still have them leveled up now, they are the best at what they do, and obviously you need them. Finally, to round off this list, we have the rest of Infinity Watch. So Adam Warlock is going to get similar comments to Silver Surfer. What I mentioned there is he is a Hero Mystic character. Silver Surfer is also a Hero Mystic character, which synergizes well with the new Warriors. But with the Eternals rounding the bend, I'm not sure if I'm going to be keeping Adam Warlock. As soon as I get the 2 Eternals unlocked and geared up, I don't think either Silver Surfer or Adam Warlock is going to make the cut for me. And more, Adam Warlock is probably not making the cut for Arena, unless you use him alongside the Eternals, alongside Cloak and Dagger in some sort of weird Hero Mystic lump for Arena. That's possible. But otherwise, he is in the Proceed with Caution category because he's not top dog. Infinity Watch in general is not top dog. They are gonna get slowly, they're going down, and it's just a matter of time. And it's unfortunate because Adam Warlock hasn't had his 3rd pass yet for his legendary event, but yeah, I'm not confident that he's gonna be still valid in a few months' time, other than things like Dark Dimension 5 legendary or Dark Dimension 4 legendary, or where we use legendary characters. So he's still on this list on the right hand side, but yeah, I would caution you, I would caution the need to have to go out of your way to get him, depending on which part of the game you're at. Now, Moondragon, she is actually a really solid support character for the skill lane. I actually use her in the skill lane. I don't use ShangChi, I actually use Moondragon. So I use the Secret Avengers, Kestrel, and Moondragon because I like the support that she gives. And that's why she's still on this list, and why Gamora and Phyla-Vell are not. I actually use Moondragon standalone. Obviously, I had her pre-built from the Infinity Watch Arena meta, so if you haven't quite got there yet, I would caution you in doing this because we know that the Arena meta of the Infinity Watch is going downhill, so her value for newer and mid-game players who don't have her built up all the way to tier 15 or whatever, you know, I wouldn't necessarily do that now. So do caution on that front. Nebula, okay, so same kind of reasons. I do use her in Doom Raid Tech. She's a nice character, but she's kind of in that 4th, 5th position that I feel that if some new tech characters come out, she's going to get the boot. So when that happens, I don't know. But would you do it now for the Infinity Watch meta? No. Would I do this just for Doom Raid now? Probably not. You know, and when it comes to Dark Dimension, with the Eternals around the corner, they're cosmic, she's cosmic. I don't know if you necessarily need her anymore. So this causes some problems with the rest of the Infinity Watch characters and what's left over for them. So yeah, that was trying to get everything in, trying to explain my reasonings for why they're there, why characters are not here, and these are still the best characters that you can invest in at the end of patch 5.7. This list is obviously subject to change. I will assume the solid investments, this is probably going to stay this way for some time. Some of these characters, they might not make next month's list. They might get kicked off of this. We'll have to see, because it depends on what characters are coming, how the meta ends up changing, and where people are using these sorts of characters. So my guesses for next list will probably be the characters like the Infinity Watch will slowly start to be removed. Characters like Moondragon and Nebula for sure. Adam Warlock might still maintain his position. Silver Surfer probably going to get booted off next month's time. You know, and we'll have to see whether or not some of these other characters are as good as they are, or if they get worse or better, and where they maintain their positions. So that's the end of the video. I hope everyone found this informative and helpful. You'll be able to find the link for this tier list in the description below. It's also available on my Discord, which you can find links to in the description as well. So until next time, all stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you all later, and I'll see you in patch 5.8, because that's just around the corner. Boilon signing out.